Hello. Hi, Curvies. Thanks for coming through. Make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button on your way in, ring the bell. So everybody's talking about it this morning. What the heck is going on with democracy, y'all? What the heck is going on with democracy? So we are here to talk about it. Um, let's let some people come in the room. And if anybody's around to play, I see a lot of the people I play with in other chats this morning, but hey, there's enough to go around, like I'm always saying. So I decided to come on too. Milo, what are you doing? Yeah. So, as you may or may not know, good old Joe Biden has stepped down. And yeah, that's a lot. Yes, he will throw you out like last week's trash. So I'm doing my mod over there at I don't know what I did, but the algorithm. Where was it?
Zion was using Zion was up last night using the wireless.
So wait. So Zion hooked his stuff back up?
Uh, his Xbox not hooked up. He had this computer.
Oh, okay. Does he have his TV screen back in there? Oh, he must be taking it out before I get up. But yeah, thanks for coming through to LRGA Curves today. Make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button on your way in, ring the bell so you can get notified when I upload videos and stuff like that. Everybody's talking about it. We already went live about it yesterday one time. And yeah, so you may or may not know that Bitey Bye has left the race. Hey, Kotor, what's good? Happy Monday. It's a lot of stuff going on, you guys, a lot of stuff. I'm in Naughty's modding, and I decided to still come over here and do my own live. Thank you guys for coming through and smashing that like button. We're talking about the same thing. However, my problem is with the DNC. The D, wait, how do you make A, B, C, D? Yeah, the DNC. Because I feel like they're the ones that are doing what they're trying to say Trump is doing. And I don't even like being pro nothing about 45. I do not like him. I'm old enough to remember the Central Park Five. I'm old enough to remember all the things that he did that were very racist, that he wouldn't even rent to black people. He was a slumlord, all kind of stuff. I'm not sure how so many black people decided they just love this man who does not love them back and hardly does anything to help them, except for I feel like he's kind of culture vulture. Yeah, I feel like Trump is culture vulture, and I feel like Biden is culture vulture. I was in a live yesterday, and they reminded me that, oh, if you're mad at Trump about the Central Park Five, then you need to be mad at Biden about the Milo. Stop it. Then you need to be mad at Biden about the '94 crime bill. I was like, they can both get it. Believe me, I'm not more mad at one than the other. I'm saying neither one of them deserve to be commander in chief. Anybody who would make it their life's mission to lock away people that look like me and call us super predators and tell us that we need to be brought to heel with his old girl. That's why Hillary didn't get in. Hillary didn't get in because of her super predator comments and her bring them to heel mentality. And they ain't never taken it back. And old Bitey Bye was the author of that bill. Him and Hillary penned it together. I don't know why people let that pass the first time either. How did Hillary get all the smoke for talking about what Biden wrote? Biden was the one that wrote that bill, you guys. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. So Yeah. So it's a lot of stuff, you guys. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Um, how do you feel about Biden dropping out? I saw the writing on the wall. I said he never should have been there. I kept reminding people, who's the liar? If they're literally have a lie counter for whenever Trump opens his mouth at a debate. But the biggest lie in the room is that 45 was lying, but the biggest lie is that 46 was in the room because he promised us he was only going to be a transitional president between him, Biden, and the DNC together. You see how that looks like scissors? Yeah, they cut us off from democracy. I said it. I said it because they cut us off from democracy. You were supposed to be a one-term president. We knew last year that your cognitive decline was happening. Everybody already knew. That's why they didn't want you to even debate the other people, allegedly, is because we would have been able to see that you were drooling, sir. And no, instead, you're like, I'm going to run again. I'm going to run again. And wasted all this time. We did not get a primary. Did you guys know that with all the complaining people do about the Republicans and the RNC and what they're doing and da 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 da, at least they're doing it the right way. At least they are doing it the right way, people. They allowed a primary. They allowed the Republican voters to vote on a ticket against other Republicans and select Donald Trump as their nominee. And then he just accepted their nomination over on he just accepted their nomination at the RNC. And yeah, after he accepted it, that was the process. So now, did the DNC allow us to do that as if you're a Democrat? And I don't even know why other people don't get to do it. They have a Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the Other People Party. Yeah, they got a lot of parties. And because we're in a two-party system, two cheeks, same ass, we already talk about it over here. But because of that, we are kind of like locked into the cheeks, right? Hello, Republican, Democrat. Hello, hello. Sometimes you got to pop out and show. But you guys, this is not okay. So I wanted to share with you guys what Marianne Williamson had to say because I was listening to Marianne Williamson, who should have been a contender for the Democratic ticket. She ran before and she ran again this year. And I just wanted to listen to what she said because I feel like she hit the nail on the head when she shared this. So let me share this. Shout out Marianne Williamson. Copyright disclaimer for the use of this. Make this big. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Today from his quest for the Democratic nomination. He's deserving of our respect and our gratitude. He has mine. And now we all have to take it from here. What's most important is that we remember the tenets of democracy. You can't save democracy if you're not embracing its truths yourself. Democracy is messy. Democracy has to do with people thinking. And part of what I objected to for the last year and a half is that basically people were told not to. The decision had already been made. Joe is the one. Joe is the only one who can defeat Trump. I felt that there should be a real contest, that whoever felt like running, myself, Dean Phillips, Cenk Uygur, whoever, should be part of a dynamic, robust conversation, a serious primary by which voters got to think, where should we go from here? And now, already, they're up to the same old kinds of tricks. So many people are now saying, okay, now what we have to do is we all have to get behind Kamala. Now, Kamala Harris might be the best candidate. And if she is the best candidate, then she should debate me and anyone else who is coming up, anyone else who is saying that they think they would be best for the job. This is not a moment to be told, don't think now. Let someone else who apparently knows more do your thinking for you. And that is why it is so important right now that we not just fall in line the way we're being told to. We cannot just shoehorn in another candidate now. That is not democracy. That should not be the way of the Democratic Party. And if we do that, the American people will not be impressed, and the American voters will not put the Democrat in the White House in 2024. So I'm a candidate for this race. I hope that others aren't being told, don't run, have you on the VP list, we'll make you a cabinet secretary if you just hold back now. Let's not play those games. Let's do what democracy is supposed to do. And all of the delegates who will now make this very, very important decision, I respectfully submit that this is not a time for you to fall in line with anything or anyone. It is time for you to think. And I hope that you will listen to me. I hope you will listen to whomever else is running and then vote your conscience. I want to tell you why I feel that I'm the one to win. Donald Trump has introduced a new era of politics. Any status quo politician, no matter how good they are, it's not going to happen. Okay, we're all just going to all get in line and there will be enough of us. There will not be enough of us. A majority of Americans do not want to see Donald Trump return to the White House, but that does not mean that a majority of Americans would, by definition, necessarily vote for the Democrat. There will be other choices, and one of those choices is staying home. So I believe that in order to defeat Donald Trump's rather big lies, we're going to tell some big truths. We have to tell the truth to the American people, which is that we acknowledge that the American economy at this point is rigged in favor of a few at the expense of the many. And just tweaking things here and tweaking things there will not be enough to fix this. There's a matrix of corporate overlords, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, big food companies, big agriculture, big chemical, big oil, and defense contractors. And they form a kind of matrix of corporate overlords at this point. Their short-term profits are placed time and time again before the safety, health, and well-being of the American people. If and when I am made the nominee, my message will be that their day of dominance is over now. We will take a U-turn economically. We will have an economic Bill of Rights. We will have Medicare for all. We will have tuition-free college and tech school. We will make sure that we have a pure food supply. We will deal with addiction. We will deal with the genuine climate emergency. We will deal with affordable housing. We will deal with guaranteeing a living wage. We will do those things if we have the House. We will do those things if we have the Senate. We'll do those things if and when I'm president. You know, Franklin Roosevelt called those people the economic royalists, and they didn't like him. They came at him, they called him a socialist, just like they would do me. And you know what he said? I welcome their hatred. Well, I don't welcome anybody's hatred, but I remember the basic tenet, not just of Franklin Roosevelt, but of the Democratic Party, the unequivocal advocacy for the working people of the United States. And even when I am president of the United States, there will be no doubt who his mother's working for. It's time. We don't have time to wait. I heard so much when over the last year and a half, oh, she can't win. I say about somebody else now. She can't win, but I can. Thanks so much. Go to marianne2024.com. Let's get this started.
And that, you guys, was Marianne Williamson talking about it. Now, look. All I'm saying is, that we're going to have to really make a lot of decisions here, you guys. Yeah. Okay, so that was Marianne Williamson, and she had many of the same views that I had as far as like what got us into this mess, you guys. Had we had a democratic process, we wouldn't be in this mess. As a matter of fact, let's look up this. Democracy. A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of state, typically through elected representatives. That's a good place to start. So democracy is often meant ruled by the people as an example of any system of government. As an example of this, any system of government in which people vote their elected representatives into parliament. What does democracy mean? Literally, power to the people. That's where that word power to the people comes from, is democracies of the people, by the people, for the people. The word democracy comes from the Greek word demos, meaning people, and kratos, meaning power. So democracy can be thought of as power of the people. It's literally, democracy is literally supposed to be power of the people. So we were literally supposed to have all the candidates put their hats, put their things in a bucket, and then we, the people, were supposed to get to decide which candidates we like the most. And then we were supposed to get to hear from them, listen to their agendas, to their projects, all that stuff. And then we were supposed to get to go on. But what happened is that the DNC particularly only gave us Biden. And I agree with Marianne Williamson. We're still not having democracy because the person who left said, oh, now take this person. It's still being not picked by the people. Where is the power of the people? Where is it? And look, I don't think that we should be getting shamed as voters, as Americans, for asking these questions. People just want us to vote blue no matter what, vote red no matter what. Look, it's not a no matter what. What are they doing for me? What are they doing for my people? What are they doing for my family? How is my family going to be better or worse under the next person? Just voting for blue to me is not a way to get me to where I want to be. Especially because the person who's blue, who's currently in the White House, who got there because Black people got him there after he comes to us. We're not Black if we don't vote for the man who wrote the 94 crime bill. Okay. We're not Black if we don't vote for the man who wrote the 94 crime bill, in which he said we were super predators and we needed to be brought to heel. And then he started disseminating Black families. He started plucking Black men from houses. He started plucking Black mothers from houses, Black sisters from houses under his 94 crime bill. And he came to us and told us that we weren't Black if we didn't vote for him. And that he was going to do, remember he said he was going to do a lot of stuff. Let's look at what he said he was going to do for us. Let's see. Did Joe Biden promise? What did Joe Biden promise Black America in 2020? Let's see. Biden's promise. Let's see. Here, let's go with this one. Some Black leaders, let's listen at this.
During the 20s, that he would prioritize their communities if they propelled him and Democrats to power in Washington. Now, as Black leaders and activists are pushing for federal action to protect voting rights, some worry about the electoral consequences if Black voters don't feel that President Biden and Democrats have delivered for them. NPR's Juana Summers reports. When Joe Biden delivered his victory speech, he singled out one group of voters as key to his success.
And especially for those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African American community stood up again for me.
Black voters overwhelmingly and reliably support Democratic candidates. But year after year, Black leaders say that Democratic politicians court their vote, promise systemic change, and then fail to follow through. As a candidate, Biden names systemic racism as one of the major crises facing the nation. He promised Black voters things would be different.
You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
But 6 months after Biden was sworn into office, some Black leaders say they worry that a familiar pattern could play out again.
Oftentimes when we're engaged in this process, it's a sense of urgency of what we need when there's an election. But then once there's a result, it seems that our issues are always put to the back burner.
That's Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter. Groups like hers have been pushing the White House to fight more forcefully to protect voting rights, as Republicans have passed a wave of laws at the state level that will make it more difficult to vote, especially for Black people and Latinos. Biden has warned that these Republican efforts are the most significant test of American democracy. But activists say there is a contrast between the urgency of Biden's language and his opposition to changing procedural rules so the bills could pass with a simple majority.
You can't say all of that and then say, oh, but by the way, that filibuster is more important to me. That's not having our back.
That's Cliff Albright of Black Voters Matter. But what it means to have the back of Black America and what political issues are key to Black voters changes depending on who you talk to. Black leaders and activists pointed to Biden's investments in historically Black colleges, the increase in the child tax credit intended to dramatically reduce childhood poverty, as well as the racial diversity of Biden's administration. Mark Morial is the president of the National Urban League.
We want a more diverse judiciary. We want economic policies that close the wealth gap. We have a range of priorities. These are top-level priorities, no doubt, particularly voting. But, it's not about, okay, if we get voting, then we'll just pack up our bags and go to sleep. The reason we want voting is because it empowers all of the other issues.
Morial was among the civil rights leaders who met with the president at the White House last month, and so was the Reverend Al Sharpton. He raised potential electoral consequences with the president.
The question of police reform, the George Floyd bill, the fact that there's no movement there, and the absolute threat to our voting rights means that, yes, I know you only been there 6 months, but you're going to get to 8, 9 months and go to the midterm election, and Black voters are going to say, we came out in historic numbers. What have we got?
Cedric Richmond is a senior advisor to the president and director of the Office of Public Engagement at the White House. He says he believes the administration has a strong track record to run on.
He's been pretty intentional about making sure that everything we do has a racial equity component to it.
That's something Biden promised would be a focus of the whole federal government, starting with his first day in office. Richmond said the administration believes there is a path to passing a federal voting bill, but he didn't detail what that might look like. Biden and Vice President Harris met with Democratic congressional leaders on Friday to discuss trying to pass narrower voting rights legislation.
The president has been in the Senate. He has renewed a Voting Rights Act for full. He knows what to do, how to do it, when to do it.
But Black activists say that for voting rights, the moment to act is now. Juana Summers, NPR News.
So that was a breakdown of a very good question that I was having as far as what has Biden and Kamala done for Black people? Specifically, I'm voting in my interests. I'm not voting just because somebody's blue. I'm telling you, it's two cheeks of the same ass. The Democrats try to get our vote by promising stuff that they never deliver on. The Republicans try to get our vote by promising stuff they never deliver on. And look, this is like coming out of a bad relationship. What just happened with Biden, IMO, as a Black voter. It's like coming out of a bad relationship where you gave and gave and gave and you did all the positions and the dinner was cooked and the house was clean and everything was awesome. But you just never got what they promised you. You never get what they promise you. They went to Black people and said, you're not who you are if you don't vote for who I am at your expense. I don't get it. I don't get it. This is crazy. Hey, Mademoiselle, thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming through. I'm just up here talking about more about the Biden dropping out. We went live about it yesterday. But while I was thinking in the nighttime, I was like, this is like insane that they're trying to force us to have Kamala as the person. Hey, the historic stuff aside, that's all great and everything. But I'm just trying to see, how has she helped our people? And I know it's not just about us, but this is the woman who said, I'm not going to do anything to just help Black people. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. What is the voting of lesser of two evils? Is that a whole vote the lesser of two evils? What's that even freaking mean? There's a whole history. Let's see. So I won't pretend da 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 da. But what does it mean? All the way back to Aristotle times, they've been talking about the less of two evils here. The Lot principle dates back to at least as far as Aristotle, who wrote in Nicomachean Ethics, for the lesser evil can be seen in comparison with the greater evil as good, since the lesser evil is preferable to the greater one, and whatever preferable is good. Aristotle was a fan, it seems, but I'm pretty sure. So Lot voting, it's called. Lot. I have no doubts that from the first time Americans voted, at least one person thought both choices were bad. I would have loved to read what the Twitter looks like back then, it says. But it has the idea that voting is just the Lot. The Lot. Lot is an acronym for the lesser of two evils. Did you know that? Lot, lesser of two evils, the Lot. And it's been going on for a long time. Let's see. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. Can you guys hear me okay? You guys are hearing me, right? Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay. There. So we don't want to advertise for that. Look, it says fallacy. The concept of lesser evil voting, LEV, can be seen as a form of the mini-max strategy, where voters, when faced with two or more candidates, choose the one they perceive as least harmful or the lesser evil. To do so, voting should be viewed as a form of personal self-expression or moral judgment. I like that. So the lesser of two evils, the principle often looked binary politics. Yeah. The maxim existed already in Platonic philosophy. We already talked about Aristotle and the Nicomachean Ethics, which is among Aristotle's best known works on ethics, the science of good human life, that which is the goal or end, at which of all our actions aim. It consists of 10 sections referred to as books, and they are closely related to the Immedium ethics. So Aristotle did that. The lesser of two evils has been dated back to the 15th century. In modern elections, LEV, lesser of two evils, voting can be formed as the mini-max strategy. So the mini-max is a decision rule used in artificial intelligence decision theory, game theory, statistics, and philosophy for minimizing the possible loss for a worst case scenario when dealing with gains. It also refers to the maximum. Wow. So you're getting the littlest big amount that you can get. Mademoiselle says, you heard Obama say there should be an open convention. Yeah, because he has not, did Obama not endorse Kamala yet? Which is really interesting because he's like, she's the most beautiful person in the world last time. But he didn't just jump to endorse her. So let's see, the lesser of two evils as a principle. What's it say? It's the principle that when faced with selecting two immoral options, the one which is least immoral should be chosen. Okay? So if you're confronted with two evils, thus the argument runs, it's your duty to opt for the lesser one, whereas it is irresponsible to refuse to choose altogether. They're saying it's irresponsible to refuse to choose altogether. However, look, even this is trying to shame you into doing someone's bidding besides your own against what you believe is your moral compass. God gives us a moral compass for a reason. If you're with it, then you're with it. If you're not with it, then you don't have to be with it. Those who denounce the moral fallacy of this argument are usually accused of germ-proof moralism, which is alien to political circumstances, and being unwilling to dirty their hands. The weakness of the argument has always been that those who choose the lesser evil forget very quickly that they chose evil at all. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like a new rule should be, if the first thing people say is it's the lesser of two evil or stay with the devil, that's not a good candidate. That's not a good candidate, because that reaction shows that there's a moral issue with them. The moralism of that candidate. The moralism is in question. And we're supposed to have a moral compass, right? So there's responsibility in judgment. So a man as an angel has become deranged. Once all of them have been genuine angels, and at the time they had a choice between good and evil. So it was easy being an angel. And then something happened. Something went wrong. It broke down and failed. And had become faced with the necessity of choosing not good or evil, but the lesser of two evils. And I don't know. How do you guys feel about having to choose between the lesser of two evils? Like, I'm not trying to live a great daily life where I'm free of sin only to turn around and vote for devils. Doesn't that sound weird? Isn't that fucking weird? We spend our whole time trying to do what's right, have a moral compass so that our souls get to where they're supposed to get to. And then we still end up laying down with devils. Don't they say that when you lay down with dogs, you get fleas? So what you get when you lay down with devils, even if it's the lesser of two evils, what you get? What we got? Nothing. We got nothing under the current administration. He promised us reform for police. He promised us making marijuana legal on a federal thing. And I don't know why that needed to be our promise, because allegedly there's more of them than us anyway. And there's more of them that smoke the stuff, but there's more of us in jail for it. So, oh yeah, that's why it was for us, because they've criminalized us. Oh yeah, but that was because of him and his 1994 crime bill. You see this big freaking cycle of minutia that they got us caught up in, and it's all freaking lies. We wouldn't need to have legalized marijuana when you're 81, Joe, if you wouldn't have put the freaking 1994 crime bill in effect and made us called us super predators and made marijuana specifically a higher level crime than it should have been in the first place, Joe. And now you're like coming back like you're Captain Save-A-Ho? Bitch, you created the problem. I don't get it. This is like somebody breaking in your house. And then years later, that person who broke in your house comes and sells you an alarm system for your house. But your window's still broken. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I just don't, I used to study with the Mormons. And the Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses too. Jehovah's Witnesses specifically don't vote. They're not voting. They're doing missionary work. That's it. They're not voting. They don't get involved in this. And I can see why. And they don't get involved because when you're choosing for these things, this is you having God rule over you. And in the Bible, it says there's no law but God's. So all of this, it's a lot of stuff to go on. But I'm not with choosing between the lesser of two evils. New rule. If you know that it's evil off top, then it's the people that put him up's responsibility to get them out of here. Why we need him as a thing. 34 counts and a 1994 crime bill. That should have been enough for neither one of them to be on the ticket this time. I don't understand. But I really did like what Marianne Williamson said, like I said, when we started. Let's listen to that one more time. Go. Because it's all about democracy, you guys. Democracy.
Marianne Williamson, who has run against Biden twice and is still in the race for the Democratic nomination, joins me now in studio to talk about the way forward. Whew, I feel like I just need to take a big, deep breath and think about everything that has happened just in the last 48 hours before I even delve into my questions. After hearing that conversation with our whole panel of experts, Marianne, what are your initial thoughts? Well, I agree wholeheartedly with Rachel Bade. I think the Democratic leadership completely underestimates the level of disgust that Americans are feeling due to their cowardice, due to their hypocrisy. You know, the issue is not just crisis, it's crisis management. And they are failing at crisis management. No major company could succeed if they just dithered like this in the face of a crisis. This is like President Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis saying, I don't know, I need more time. No. The American people want to feel that they have a government that knows how to handle an emergency. The Democratic Party needs to display right now a very serious way to handle an emergency. Rachel Bade was absolutely correct. This idea, there's nothing we can do. If he doesn't want to give up the delegates, he doesn't have to. It's called an intervention. It's called Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Schumer and whomever else walking into a room with the president, with the first lady, with Hunter, whomever, and saying, this has got to stop. You are risking our victory in November. We keep saying how dangerous Donald Trump is. At a certain point, who do you blame? The thief? Or don't you also blame the people who are opening the windows and opening the doors? So this is an abject failure, not only for the president. And you know, I started all this feeling a lot of compassion for him. This had to have been a very humiliating experience. And he was due a lot of respect, compassion, gratitude. I said that at the time. What is happening now is not deserving of respect. No one person is indispensable. And when Donald Trump a few years ago said, I'm the only one who can fix it, many of us were appalled. And we should be equally appalled at the president's arrogant belief that he's the only one who could beat Donald Trump, when in fact polls show the exact opposite. So the Democratic leadership, and this is on full display, everything that your experts were saying, they say one thing in public and another thing in private, but because of their own cynical calculations, their own ambitions for their own careers, they won't stand on principle and stand on what they know, and they expect the American people to turn the keys to the White House over to them. Not just the White House. We're now risking the House and the Senate, not only because the president could drag everything down, but because these men and women could drag everything down, acting in a way that is so contrary to the politics that they have purported to stand on for the last few years of their own careers.
This is exactly what they ripped Republicans for, and former President Donald Trump. And now look at where we are. Simple question. How the heck did we even get into this position?
We know how we got into the position. How we got into this position started many years ago. I think right now, though, when you're in a crisis, you can't really indulge too much analysis of how you got here. You have to talk about what is happening right now. I want to look for a moment at Karine Jean-Pierre. How is this any different from Sean Spicer, who told us when President Trump was elected, this was the biggest crowd we've ever seen on the mall for a presidential election? And you, I'm sure many showed pictures of the crowd at Obama's inauguration. Went, no, our eyes can see. And Sean just kept repeating the lie. This is terrible. Jean, and I know Karine Jean-Pierre, I know from my own experience, the way she mocked me on the presidential press podium right after I announced my candidacy. The press secretary position has become PR operative, posing as a press secretary. So we're being asked to see, it really doesn't even matter that I mean, it does matter that a Parkinson's doctor has been at the White House, but it matters what we saw the night of the debate. It matters what we saw the day of that interview with George Stephanopoulos. We're not only being asked, can the president handle the next 4 months of a campaign? It is reasonable for the American voter to ask, can he handle the next 4 years of the presidency? We heard him be strong on Morning Joe the other day, but the president of the United States can't be episodically strong. The president of the United States cannot be episodically on top of his game. The American people have the right to think that our president is someone at the top of his or her game 24 hours a day, and nothing less than that will be voted in by the American electorate in November.
It's interesting you mentioned Morning Joe, MSNBC, and I actually made a note here about the president's interview and when he called in, and he dared those who want him to drop out to challenge him at the convention. Would you challenge him?
I already have. I've been challenging him for a year and a half. And I understand why these people are afraid. This crowd is tough. This crowd is vicious. This crowd smears, they lie, they suppress candidacies, and the elected politicians in the Democratic Party know they're hearing the warning, they're hearing the threat, and they know that it's true. And those of them who are thinking, this is the kind of calculation they're doing. Well, maybe I'll wait, I'll run in 28, I'll run in 32, I'll run in 36. Meanwhile, look at what is happening to our country now. And even putting aside those of us who really do not wish to see Project 2025 come to pass. We do not wish to see a president who calls climate change a hoax. We do not wish to see a president who Mark Esper, his former defense secretary, has gone on record on 60 Minutes saying that President Trump said about protesters, can't you just shoot them, like shoot them in the legs or something? There are many people who do not wish to see the president come back, who appointed Supreme Court justices expressly for the purpose of overturning Roe v. Wade. But don't underestimate how desperate people are out there. We have 39% of the American people who report that they regularly skip meals because they can't make the rent otherwise. We have millions of people who are selling their blood plasma. We have young people having to live in their parents' basements because housing is such a crisis for everyone. We have millions of people who are having to work 2 and 3 jobs. The American people, the Democratic Party, need to get about the job of offering hope. Even in the earlier press conference today with a couple of Democratic congressmen, all we're doing for the working people of the United States, I assure you, too many working people of the United States don't see all that. Now, I agree, Donald Trump is offering false hope. But you know what? For people who have no health care, who have no place to live, who live with chronic economic anxiety, who are saddled by debt, medical and otherwise, they'll go with false hope rather than no hope. And that's what the Democratic Party needs to get about the business of doing. Enough about Joe Biden. This is wrong. This should be about the people of the United States. This should be about what the Democratic Party is going to do over the next 4 years to improve the material conditions of the American people.
But why isn't it about that? Because like you said, you said just a moment ago that the Democratic Party suppressed other candidates like you, Dean Phillips, other folks that wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that Democrats did that? And why did they pick Joe Biden? Why is it Joe Biden that they want to make it here?
Well, for the answer to that, we have to go back to George Washington's farewell address. He warned us about political parties. And by the way, I'm not saying that there are fewer shenanigans that go on among the Republicans, please. I am a Democrat. But there's a difference at this point between the Democratic soul and the Democratic machine. So what George Washington said is that he feared that political parties would form factions of men more loyal to their party than to their country. And that's exactly what's happening. And then John Adams, our second president, said he feared that political parties would become the biggest threat to our democracy. Not only did we not allow a genuine democratic process to take place over the last year and a half in the primaries, we have time over the next 4 months to do so. And those who are saying, oh, we don't have time, look at what they just did in France. Look at what they just did in Britain. There is plenty of time. Those who are saying there's no time, what they're really saying is we might lose control. If that were to happen, if we really opened this up now and had a little mini primary and an open convention, it might not be our choice who gets the nomination. And the American people need to challenge them to open this thing up so that the Democratic Party can truly be democratic once again.
Let's continue this conversation for the next few months, shall we?
Let's do that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mary.
So Marianne said what we've all been wondering. Well, what some of us has been wondering. Look, I wouldn't put this maxi pad on my ear because I don't need it no more because I'm in menopause. And I was like, ooh, I want to be part of the clique. That's how the shit starts, you guys. You want to be part of a movement. You want to be part of something. That's why I bet a lot of people got their maxi pads on their ears. And some people even write fight, fight, fight on theirs. But I would have won at the convention because this is an overnight size pad. And look how big that is. I would have got all the attention from him if I gave a F about what he was doing. You see that? Anyway, so I agree with Marianne Williamson that democracy was thwarted. And democracy literally means we the people, by the people. It's supposed to be what the people decide. It's not supposed to be what the DNC tells us and then feeds us with spoons. Spoon feeds us what they want us to decide. It's supposed to be that we get to do our due diligence and research. We get to listen to people, what they say. We get to look at their history and see what their patterns are established as. And we get to then decide who we want to vote for. Okay? There's nothing wrong with deciding. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and deciding. You can go out and get you an overnight maxi pad and decide that way. Or you can decide that you want to have an open convention and allow everybody to come through. Now, somebody did somebody already say it in here? Be more shorties in the house. Thanks for coming through. You're going to watch. Okay, I haven't been watching the pundits since Obama. And I wonder what Rachel is going to be saying about it. I mean, all I know, look, you really think that a Black woman is going to get to be the Democratic, not only nominee, but the newly elected president? Really? So when was the last time a Black woman was protected? I'll wait. Oh, I don't have to wait long because the answer is never. So you really think that people are going to get behind Kamala, who people already don't like? A lot of people don't like. I don't know if the people that like her is enough. I don't know. How many people do you need to win the election? Let's ask that. How many people need to vote to win the Democratic election?
I found this on the web.
Okay. That's not what we need. How many votes does it take to become president of the United States?
Here's what I found.
Oh, look, see, my pad came off. Damn. I know those people, ears are little. I don't know how the people left their things on. You just stick it on like that. And then if I put my hair in front, then there. This is very irritating, though. I don't know why the people have this on their ear. I'm just doing it to be funny because who doesn't want a maxi pad to keep their ear warm? People, you put Kotex out of business. Actually, they have a new thing where they doubles as a ear muff. Let's see. How many votes does it take to be president of the United States? So, this is another issue I have with our whole thing. So a candidate needs the votes of at least 270 electors. Now, there's 333 million Americans, but it only needs 270 electors to decide what 333 million Americans decided. Okay. The projected winner is announced the closer it gets to 270 electors. Now, there are 5 requirements to be president. Let's see. It keeps saying there's 5 requirements. So there are legal requirements for being a president as directed in the Constitution. You must be a natural born citizen, a resident for 14 years, 35 years of age or older. Is that it? Legal requirements. Natural born citizen, resident 14 years, and 35 years or older. That means Michelle Obama could go, because I didn't think Michelle Obama could do it because she never held the office, but you don't even have to have held the office before, right? Awesome. Well, that's good to know. Let's see. So, but in your state local elections, there's no electoral college. So your vote goes directly to whatever it's going towards. And they really have to tally it up and get to the bottom of it. Now, what's the next thing I wanted to show you? Is Project 2025. You have to, unless you want to read the whole 1,000 pages, you're going to have to find like some little summary that matters to you, because they're like, oh, it's not that bad. But based off the PDF and what I'm finding out so far, it's bad. And the people who did it are equally as bad, in my opinion. The Heritage Foundation, it may as well be Moms of Liberty. Anybody who's familiar with that knows that Moms of Liberty is going around saying that all the books that have anything to do with actual American history, as it has to do with slavery, should be banned because it makes little white kids feel bad. But they don't care about how little black kids feel about being called a slave and being shown in that light and not ever having reparations for their people. They don't care about that. So it's so one-sided. I'm so off that. But yeah, the Heritage Foundation, they're always talking about, we got to save our heritage. We gotta save our heritage. This is America. This is America. I got my max pad on my ear. We need to save our heritage. Project 2025. That's what they're doing. I'm good, Milo. That makes my ear hot. But hot ears are not fun. Now, one thing I do find interesting is that Trump keeps claiming that he don't know nothing about Project 2025, but he does. Because he also said he didn't grape that lady. I don't believe nothing Trump says. Hey, Milo. I don't believe nothing Trump says, you guys. Not a freaking word. Move it, Milo. Watch out, babe. Watch out. I'm on here. I don't want to hug you right now. He tries to stop. I love you. Go back on the couch. Your nose is so wet under my arm. So let's see. Oh, you know what we need? We need Kamala's Harris statement. U.S. elections. Kamala Harris to make first speech since Biden endorsement as more top Democrats back her. Um, 3 hours ago, Kamala Harris to make first speech since Biden exited race and endorsed her. Kamala Harris is expected to make her first public appearance on Monday since Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 election campaign. With Biden still absent in Delaware and recovering from COVID, the vice president will greet the NCAA championship teams from the 2023 season at the White House. This is due to take place at 11:30 Eastern Time on the South Lawn. Oh, I think it might be 11:30, 7:30, 7, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. Oh, at 8:30 my time. I'll have to set an alarm for that. Maybe we'll come back and listen to it together. A number of significant figures who might have been expected to challenge Harris, including Governor Newsom, my governor, Gretchen Whitmer, have already indicated that they will not be running. Senator Joe Manchin, who floated the idea he might run, also opted out. So that's one thing that just happened, you guys. And that's what Marianne Williamson is talking about, is it still feels like democracy is over there somewhere, just out of reach. Just out of reach. You guys see how high my ceilings are? Like, I can't reach nothing up there to get that out. To get cobwebs out of that corner, I have to ball up socks and throw them up there because it's just out of reach. And democracy is feeling just out of reach, isn't it? Democracy is feeling just out of reach if we're still not letting the process happen. And did you guys also hear that the RNC wants to sue because they're not doing it democratically? Let's look at that. Let me ask her. Set an alarm for 8:30 to listen to Kamala's first speech.
Done.
Okay, let's see. What was I going to look at? Damn. So we did that. And then I was going to look for something. See, and this is what's kind of off-putting. Why does she always have this weird smile on her face and that freaking cackle? I don't know. She seems like she'd be cool to have a glass of wine with, but I'm not sure if she's cool to run the country. I don't know. Look what she did in San Francisco to all those Black and brown people. She does not love us. She does not like us. They not like us. She not like us. And she doesn't even see herself like us, but people are like, oh, we got to vote for her. Da, da, da. You guys gonna need to do what you want. But as a person from the Bay Area, knowing the number of lives that she affected, I'm feeling like no wonder Biden picked her. She went right hand in hand with his 99 for crime bill. right in hand with the 94 crime bill. Okay, let's listen to this. This is new information. So this is a political analyst that feels like a political analyst feels like Trump is shaking in his boots, y'all. Let's listen.
Most unhappy people in America right now are Donald Trump, his campaign, and his supporters. They were salivating at the opportunity to run against 81-year-old Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a good man, but Joe Biden is incapable of communicating and making the case against Trump. Trump and his team knew that. They know Kamala Harris can make that case. And they also know that Kamala Harris is going to generate a lot of excitement from young people and people of color throughout this country who just were not really excited and maybe were thinking about staying at home in November. The Trump campaign is scared about this. They will not know how to handle this. And the other point I'd make is he's always going after people, but he's always had a difficult time attacking strong women. This will not be easy for him.
Okay. So somebody thinks that they're quaking in their boots over there. And even though there was a report before, yeah. Now let's see this.
To compete against the presidential elections was Joe Biden. Why? Because, as we saw in that debate, Trump didn't really have to do anything. He just stood there and saw Biden.
Yeah, let's see this.
He didn't really have to kind of attack him too much. He was more or less like a bystander. So I think he won't be happy that Biden stood down. He won't be happy that Kamala Harris is most likely going to be the nominee, and that people appear to be uniting behind her. As you say, they've raised millions of dollars. So I think he's probably dreading.
So I think he won't be happy that Biden stood down. He won't be happy that Kamala Harris is most likely going to be the nominee, and that people appear to be uniting behind her. As you say, they raised millions of dollars. So I think he's probably dreading that debate.
Will, thank you for your time. I just want to put you on the spot before you go. Is the candidate that is going to face Donald Trump going to be Kamala Harris?
I think it's very likely.
A diplomatic answer, shall we say. Thank you very much for your time, Will.
Thank you very much, Will.
Well, thank you very much for all of your questions. Hopefully we have managed to answer some of them today. Don't forget, of course, that there will be continuing coverage of the campaign. I know that you talk about it on Reliable Source.
Yep, the Reliable Source podcast. You can also head to the BBC's TikTok and Instagram page, watching on there, because we'll put every part of this story as it unfolds on those pages.
And of course, talking of podcasts, we also have America, which is going to be dominated by this.
Okay. So even in England, sorry, baby, even in England, they're talking about it. I have theories on that, but we don't have to get into those today. Milo, calm down. Calm down. Did you guys see this fight? Freaking, we're going to come back and do. Milo, relax. We're going to come back and do the.
What a big momentous decision it is. Secret Service, because I spent 27 years in an agency with an AR-15s, had access to them by a 20-year-old.
Now let's listen to the that lady get questioned about why they didn't do anything.
Especially assault weapons or semi-automatic weapons. That's helped your job and the mission of your agencies.
Where did it go?
It's made it less complicated, isn't that true? I'm sorry.
The Secret Service is getting questioned about their lack of response.
Weapons. That's helped your job
and the mission
because
of your
everybody
agency.
thinks it was a setup.
Right, it's made it less complicated, isn't that true?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question.
Real simple. More guns, especially dangerous ones, have made your job protecting people easier. Is that not right?
I think from every
Director Cheatham, this is simple English. More guns, do they make your job more complicated or less complicated in protecting these 36 clients and visiting heads of state and heads of government that come to Washington?
I think the Secret Service needs to take into account
I didn't ask that.
that they're in.
I'm sorry. I asked a simple question, which deserves a simple answer. The ubiquity of guns, dangerous weapons in America, like AR-15s, has that made your job, that is to say the mission of the Secret Service, easier or more difficult?
I think the threat environment for protecting our Secret Service protectees is always difficult, and that's dynamic and it's always evolving.
We stipulate it's always difficult. This is a simple one.
How do they even wear these, right? You know how hard it had to be to keep those on their ears?
I understand the Second Amendment rights of individuals.
I didn't ask that question. I'm not questioning the Second Amendment. I'm asking a simple analysis, Director Cheadle. And I can tell you, you're not making my job easier in terms of assessing your qualification for director. Please answer the question. You're the head of the Secret Service. You're speaking on behalf of 8,000 members who put their lives on the line. We just had a failure by your own admission. Do guns make your job easier or harder?
I think the job of the Secret Service is difficult on every day, and we need to make sure
Why isn't she answering questions?
All threats, whether that be
that
weapons,
isn't my question.
personnel.
That is not my question. And now I think you're evading the answer, which is not a hard one.
I am sorry that you feel that way, sir.
How else could I feel, Director Cheadle, when you're clearly avoiding a direct answer to a very simple declarative question? We almost lost a presidential candidate the other day. A 20-year-old had access to his father's AR-15 and got on top of a roof within 500 yards or feet of the podium. And I'm asking you, did the availability of that AR-15, which is replicated all across America, make your job harder or easier? And you're not willing to answer that question? And you think and you wonder why we might have a lack of confidence in your continued ability to direct this agency?
I understand your question, and that's the environment.
Well, if you understand my question, why not answer it?
Because it's the environment that the Secret Service works in every day.
That doesn't tell me anything. That's the environment we work in. I had an attack on my office a year ago. I know a little bit about violence too. He came to kill me. When he couldn't, he beat one of my staffers 8 times with a baseball bat on the head. We live with the threat of violence. But a simple answer from the director of the Secret Service would be helpful. And I'm sorry you've chosen to evade it. I yield back. Chair, now recognize Mr. Groffman from Wisconsin.
Okay, so I just wanted us to hear what was going on there. Now, you know what? We're going to listen to Amanda Seales, because I actually feel like Amanda is asking some questions that I would ask, is saying some stuff that I would say. Amanda. Where's Amanda Seales? Amanda Seales. Oh, here she goes. Let's listen to what Amanda Seales has to say, because look, these are viable questions from people in our community. We don't all think Black people are not a monolith. There are a heck of Black people that didn't vote for Obama just because he was Black. They voted for him because of his policies and what he was going to do and what his vision was and his audacity of hope. That's why they voted for him. But where'd it go?
Hey guys, so before the day is done, Just want to point out that for Kamala to garner new voters, like voters that weren't already going to just vote for Biden, she would need to take a new direction. I talk about this ad nauseum on my Patreon, but just on a basic level, Kamala, if your comms team is watching, which I know y'all be watching my page, I really hope that you plan to do what needs to be done to cease and desist, as the ICJ has said, all military practices in Gaza, East Jerusalem, and the West Bank. Immediately. I hope they're drafting the statement now. And I hope that you all are focusing on diversifying your donor base so that you are not solely married to the Zionist donor base that has continued this slaughter. And while you're at it, it's also a good time to talk about what you're going to do to ensure that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act is acted on. Yeah. This is what I meant when I said be different. Let's go. Hey guys. So before the day is done,
okay, that was a good one. Now let's see where's this next one.
Do you know how many members?
Let's see. So there, something just was trending. Let me just go here. Go right here. You guys will see this.
No, these two get together is a problem. Not us.
Talene is a traitor. I do not like Talene. I do not like Talene. Let me just send it from myself to myself because that is not happening. There. Now let's go over here. Go right here.
My first question to Kamala Harris would be, is this a racist? My first question to Kamala Harris would be, is this a racist country? That's my first question. It doesn't make sense for them to put Jasmine Crockett on a ticket. Why ask that question? Because it is the root of all evil in this country. And if you are coming into this position and you want to do something different and you want to be the antithesis of these other, then you need to already address the antithesis, because they are loudly saying not only is this country racist, it should be racist. Project 2025's ultimate ethos is that the country is weakened by equality. And that's not just by race, that's by gender. That is their ultimate ethos. So someone said that they want Michelle because of her proximity to her husband. What is her husband? My first question to Kamala Harris would be, is this a racist country? That's my first question. It doesn't make sense for them to put Jasmine Crockett on a ticket. Why ask that question? Because it is the root of all evil in this country. And if you are coming into this position and you want to do something different and you want to be the antithesis of these other, then you need to already address the antithesis, because they are loudly saying not only is this country racist, it should be racist. Project 2025's ultimate ethos is that the country is weakened by equality. And that's not just by race, that's by gender. That is their ultimate ethos. So someone said that they want Michelle because of her proximity to her husband. What is her husband? My first question to Kamala Harris would be, is this a racist country? That's my first question.
I feel like that's a great question, Curvies.
It doesn't make sense for them to put Jasmine Crockett.
That is a absolutely great question. Continue. The original quote is, when young children see someone who looks like them running for office, they see themselves in what can be, unburdened by what has been. What does that mean? So you see what can be while releasing the burden of what has been. Yeah, I'm with her. I need to know if she thinks it's racist too, because if you don't think there's a problem, then how are you going to fix it? Isn't everything, say, as far as like when you get in a 12-step program, the first thing is admitting you have a problem? So if none of these candidates see that the country is racist, or see that Project 2025 is a racist Bible for people that have racist slips showing, then how are we supposed to do anything? If there's no problem, if there's nothing to see here, folks, then how are we going to fix it? An alcoholic can't get right until they say that they're an alcoholic. A dope fiend can't get right until they admit that they're a dope fiend. And it's the same. They need to speak the truth, tell the truth, shame the devil. But when you're choosing between devils, you already know, then you're not going to get no truth. You were literally saying the lesser of two evils, choice between two devils, and we're expecting truth. Anyway, you guys, I got a day to get started. I just wanted to come over here and see what you guys were talking about. And thanks for coming through. We will come back later for some finance talk, we need to get at Dubai. Real Housewives of Dubai was good. Talene is no good. Caroline Brooks has a point. Caroline Stansberry. Nobody needs to bend the knee. We're not in England, bit. We're not bending the knee for you. What? Why are we kissing this blonde blue lady's ring in the middle of Dubai? I'm not sure how she got to be queen of Dubai. If anything, Chanel Ayan is queen of Dubai, not Caroline Stanberry. Anyway, but as everything, every show needs a great colonizer, right? Anyway, is that an archetype? A colonizer archetype is on these shows? I don't know what that means. Okay, you guys. Go out, be wonderful, have your talent, talk to God about how to express it, and then listen. And then go out and get some, because there's enough to go around, Curvies. So thanks for coming through. I will see you in the next